The autumn leaves had long since fallen in Willow Creek, replaced by the crisp chill of winter. Snow dusted the town like powdered sugar, softening the edges of Riverside High School's red brick facade. Inside its walls, the air was thick with the hum of heaters and the buzz of teenage life, but something had shifted since that fateful day in the bathroom. Ilara Voss, once the invisible girl, had become a quiet force, her presence rippling through the school in ways she could never have imagined. The art club she'd started by the creek had grown into a sanctuary for students who, like her, had once felt unseen. They gathered every Thursday after school, their sketchbooks and paintbrushes transforming the banks of the frozen creek into a canvas of color and connection. Ilara, now a junior, had become their unofficial leader, not through loud proclamations but through her steady presence, her gray eyes warm with encouragement. Her leather journal, once a private refuge, was now filled with sketches of her friends, Samir, who drew fantastical dragons with meticulous detail, Lila, whose watercolors captured the fleeting beauty of the seasons, and Theo, a shy freshman who found his voice through charcoal portraits. But change, Ilara was learning, was never a straight line. While her newfound confidence had inspired others, it had also stirred unease in those who thrived on the old order. Kaylee Harper, the once untouchable queen of Riverside High, had not taken her dethroning lightly. Though her influence had waned, she was far from defeated. Whispers followed Ilara in the halls, rumors of Kaylee plotting to reclaim her power, to remind everyone who truly ruled the school. It was a Tuesday in January, the air sharp with the promise of more snow, when the first signs of trouble appeared. Ilara was in the art room, helping Lila clean paintbrushes after a club meeting, when Samir burst through the door, his usual grin replaced by a furrowed brow. "Ilara, you need to see this," he said, holding out his phone. She wiped her hands on a rag and took the device, her stomach tightening as she read the post on X. It was from an anonymous account, but the venom in the words was unmistakable. "Think you're special now, mouse? Enjoy it while it lasts. Everyone knows you're just a fake." Attached was a photo of Ilara's sketchbook, left open on a table during a recent club meeting, its pages filled with her most personal drawings, self-portraits that bared her insecurities, her fears, her quiet hopes. Someone had taken the photo without her knowledge and posted it for the world to see. Lila gasped, peering over Ilara's shoulder. Who would do this? Ilara's heart pounded, but she forced herself to stay calm. "It's just a stupid prank," she said, though her voice wavered. She handed the phone back to Samir, her fingers trembling. "I'll deal with it." But as she walked home that evening, the snow crunching beneath her boots, the weight of the post settled over her like AF. In the small, sun-dappled town of Willow Creek, where maple trees lined the streets and the air carried the faint scent of blooming lilacs, Riverside High School stood as a microcosm of teenage dreams and dramas. Its red brick walls and sprawling courtyards buzzed with the chatter of students, their laughter echoing like a melody. But beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic place, shadows lurked, shadows cast by those who thrived on cruelty. At the heart of this story was Ilara Voss, a quiet, unassuming girl with chestnut hair that fell in soft waves over her shoulders and eyes the color of storm clouds. Ilara was the kind of person who faded into the background, her presence as gentle as a whisper in a crowded room. She loved books, sketching in her worn leather journal, and the quiet moments she spent by the creek behind her house, where the world felt kind. But at school, her silence was mistaken for weakness, and her solitude made her a target. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when the incident occurred, one that would ripple through the school like a stone dropped in still water. The final bell had rung, and the hallways were emptying as students spilled out into the crisp air, eager for freedom. Ilara lingered by her locker, carefully organizing her books, her fingers tracing the spine of a worn copy of Jane Eyre. She was lost in her thoughts, imagining herself as Jane, resilient and unbroken despite the world's harshness. She didn't notice the group approaching until their shadows fell over her. There were 4 of them: Kaylee, the self-proclaimed queen bee with a smile sharp enough to cut glass, her boyfriend, Jake, whose broad shoulders and easy charm masked a mean streak, and their 2 followers, Mia and Trevor, who seemed to exist only to amplify Kaylee's cruelty. They called themselves the Elite, a name that made Ilara's stomach twist whenever she heard it whispered in the halls. Well, look who's still here," Kaylee said, her voice dripping with mock sweetness. She leaned against the locker next to Ilara's, her manicured nails tapping rhythmically. "Little Miss Mouse, all alone as usual." Ilara's heart sank, but she kept her eyes on her books, hoping they'd lose interest. It was a tactic she'd used before: stay small, stay quiet, and maybe they'd move on. But today, Kaylee's eyes gleamed with a dangerous kind of mischief. "I'm talking to you, freak," Kaylee snapped, stepping closer. "Or are you too busy daydreaming about your boring little life?" Jake chuckled, folding his arms. "She's probably writing poetry about how sad she is," he mocked, earning a giggle from Mia. Ilara's cheeks burned, but she didn't respond. She closed her locker, clutching her books to her chest, and tried to slip past them. But Trevor blocked her path, his grin wide and taunting. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked. "We're just getting started." The hallway was nearly empty now, the other students long gone. Ilara's pulse quickened as she